So we'll see again with Westerinen.
Yes, Westerinen. Well, he was a Finnish grandmaster. I told you before, now some other occasion, that they had in these countries, each country had a very good grandmaster. Denmark had Larsen, Westerinen was for Finland, and now Norway has Carlsen, of course.
Yes.
And Sweden had Anderson, of course. Each one had their, extra class grandmaster, So
But Norway at the time, they had any very strong grandmaster?
Well, Westerinen was the best player from Finland. Anderson was by far the best Swedish grandmaster.
But Norway was any...
Norway, no. Norway was still waiting, but now they had the grandmaster Carlsen, who dominates, the field, let's say.
Yes.
Yeah. So D4, D5.
You played with white here, right?
I played with white, and it was a small surprise because usually Westerinen played, not every game, but very, in many other games, he played King's Indian. He preferred King's Indian. Now he played Queen's Indian because, as you remember, he had some very unpleasant surprise against the King's Indian in some other games, before. So here he played this one, and we have the Queen's Indian position with the bishop in f4, not in g5, but in f4. Okay.
So this is Queen's Indian?
No, this is Queen's Gambit, pardon.
Queen's Gambit,
yeah.
Okay.
C6, A3, knight d7, well, everything theory again. Yeah. White a little bit better all the time. Okay, A6, rook d1, knight f8, c5. Okay, this is very clear. White wants to have control on the central squares. c5, e5, and on the queen side, Now, after c5, he has to play b6 or a5 or something like this, to open a little bit the game, with black. So he puts the other knight there, and he has two ideas: to come with the pawn in b6, or to play later on bishop f6 and threaten to play e5, to have this idea. Well, bishop e2 is a little bit more quiet. The better was maybe even bishop d3 and stronger, But the bishop e2, knight g6 is all right. And after this move, I played castle. You give black the possibility to take in f4, but you have complete control on the e5, and therefore white is clearly better. Well, he preferred to play a little bit different, and instead of taking in f4, with more or less no counterplay for black, if he takes in f4, he tried to push e5 later on. This is the idea. So b6, b4, okay. So he took, I took, and bishop f6. And now he threatens to come with e5, to come to e5. So we put the bishop in d6 and queen a5, and now we play first e4. We give the pawn in a2, is not important. He can't take the pawn because he loses the queen. If he takes in a3, this very big mistake. You play simply rook a1, queen b4, the other rook in b1, and the queen is trapped,
The queen is trapped?
Yeah, he has no time. And now, this is the desperate move to have some counterplay e5, Because if he took immediately in e4, after knight takes e4, white has fantastic game, control everywhere. So he tries e5 to have something at least, But now white comes first, as usual. Now he takes in d5, he takes in d4, you take in d4, and he takes in c5. Well, very sharp game, at least, The idea is that you don't have time to take immediately with the knight in c6. If you have time to take in c6 with the knight, it's completely hopeless for black. But you lose the knight from c3. After queen takes c3, you are pieced down. So you have to take with the pawn in this.
So you cannot take with the knight here because...
Because queen takes c3 and you lose a piece. So now I took there and he played bishop there. Okay, now he took with the rook and f4. Now in every position white is winning because that comes very quickly, You have pawn already in c6, very strong initiative, and the the black pieces lack completely of coordination. You'll see.
Yeah, a lot of exchanges here and a lot of
Yeah, everything is very tactical, and
variations,
white
yeah.
is coming very quickly. Just in a few moves, white is coming to a very strong attack. You'll see, decisive attack. So bishop, rook e3 is forced, more or less. And now after knight d5, he has to take in a3, and I think no. And now everything is forced. f5, knight there, and f6. The only defense, knight e6 is the only move. Now check, king h8, and now simply you take, and c7. Completely winning for white. Very strong and very quickly, you see.
Yeah.
Just in a few moves like this. Now what can he play? The rook a2 is again the only move. And now after queen e4, there are some threats in a8, in e5. You threaten also to take in e5, and when he takes with the queen, rook d8 mate,
yes.
in 2 moves. No, rook f8, but this is desperate. And now rook d8. He loses at least one piece here, because if you take in d8, you take back in d8, takes with the queen, and he loses the knight from e5.
Yes.
Completely winning, no?
Yeah.
So now he played again queen c5 check, king h1. Now he could resign. Of course, he was in very big time trouble, and therefore he played a little bit more. But the game is completely winning for white, of course, now. So after queen a8, that gives the possibility to move a little bit, a few moves more, and to complete such a very nice position. I mean, to give mate or win all the pieces. So king g7 check, and okay, now and takes, and we have another queen. Now,
Yeah. And many more.
He played a few moves, and he resigned later on.
Hard to resign.
Yeah.
You have here extra
The
2
queen
pieces.
in c1, in c8, yeah. In c8 was a queen, not a rook.
No, it was the rook.
Oh, rook, okay. Now,
Yes.
and rook back, and okay, he resigned, no?
He resigned here.
He
yes.
resigned. Yeah. Well, what can we say? It was, the initiative from white was much too strong, but everything was very unclear up to a certain point. Later on, it was very clear, of course.
Yeah.
Yes. It was very clear because white had all the pieces in the right places, and he could show that just in a few moves, the initiative was decisive, Yeah. Well, again, very important theoretically in that time, but for the theory, the game was very important, Later on, the same variation was played by Spassky himself, for white,
For white?
That's, yeah.
And he won?
Yeah, of course.
Nice.
Position is very good.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It usually happens like this. When a strong grandmaster played something very interesting, a lot of other grandmasters played the same and tried to demonstrate that the idea was good enough, And
They are picking
here
up.
was the same case, the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Thank you.
You are.